All right, everybody, here we go. Live, just got back. Still got the Charger Power shirt on because I liked it. I thought the field looked good, wasn't crazy. I think on field level about the uniforms, but up top looked good. As a play-by-play man, they got to help me out with those numbers for next year. Let's make sure we get a nice, much thicker blue ring around them because, man, it was tough. I didn't know if it was Khalil Mack, 52, or if it was Justin Aboigby, 92. I was struggling with Gadsden versus Will Dissly, 86 to 89. So selfishly for me, it was a bit of a rough one as I get this squared away. So today, I'll crack it off camera. I'll just say it's something a little different. If you can pick up on it, great. If you can't, great. But it's just kind of what I'm going with. So there's a little peek there. Take a sip there, and let's get rolling. Hi, Parker. Daughter's saying hello as she clocks in. So a lot of this is going to be general observations. I haven't had a chance to go through kind of the PFF stuff. It's going to be box score based, just kind of general observations. I wish they could have played the first half like the second, right? They still didn't get any stops, and that's something that's a serious issue moving forward on this defense. It's now been multiple weeks where run games have absolutely gashed this team. This 23 for 120, averaging 5.5 per. Jonathan Taylor goes for 94 and 3 touchdowns. Those 3 touchdown runs, 19, 23, and 8, I think, did not get touched on any of them. It's weird. I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know if it's, do they miss Alohi, kind of getting everything settled out there? Is it the front, with Deshaun Hand missing? He's been so good prior to his leaving. When Puna departed, we talked about throwing multiple bodies at that, and it being Naquan and Deshaun Hand and Caldwell, and I think all of them have played well, and Tier Tart's been fantastic. But for whatever reason, edges aren't being set. Khalil Mack was out there today. Let me see if I can at least get a snap count on him. I didn't feel like I saw him a lot. Snap count on Khalil Mack was 12. So 10, let's see, what do you have? One run defense, 10 pass rushers, which is interesting, right? Because I don't know if that's a tackling issue where they were trying to protect that arm and just kind of let him get after the quarterback as opposed to having to tackle and set an edge. But you would think you'd want him out there to set an edge because the edge was an issue. Again, I thought there were just multiple breakdowns in the zone coverage where there were, Shane Steichen was dialing up stuff and he was in a rhythm, man, and he was cooking. He was really cooking. Daniel Jones did not get pressured a lot. I think total pressures. Even if I look at them, I don't know what it says here from PFF. They have it at, let's see, 7 for Thule. That feels about right. I felt like Thule was getting back there, but that's it. 4 for Oweh. I didn't feel like that was right. And they tend to correct, so they'll correct throughout the week. But for me, that's a bit of an issue. So I know a lot of people are going to focus on the 2 interceptions from Herbert, and they were tough. One in the end zone that I thought was forced, and then one just kind of fluky, right? Bounced off of Gallimore. Or was it Gallimore? I think it was, right? Or was it Stewart? I think it was Stewart, actually. It was Grover Stewart. Popped it up in the air and then caught it. Big man interception. But really, the guy threw for 420 yards and 3 touchdowns. That wasn't the problem today. Problem was the defense. And the fact that they gave up 288 and 2 to Daniel Jones, only sacked him once, that Alec Pierce had a 48-yard catch, that Tyler Warren had a 29-yard. He had 4 catches for 69 yards. He's averaging over 15 yards per catch. Damn near 20 yards per catch in a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor had a 19-yard reception. Michael Pittman a 16-yard reception. They were just explosives all over the place. And I know because it got a little weird, they were up 21, so they kind of started adjusting, but there was a moment in that game where they were averaging 10 yards per play. And so I think that's something, and I look forward. Jesse Minter's one of my favorite dudes on the team, and I look forward to his Wednesday presser. He's always very forthcoming, takes all questions, just trying to figure out how you fix this. Is it more man coverage? Why are there all these openings in the zone where guys are just wide open and you got multiple dudes guarding grass? I feel like there's more of that. On that 2-point conversion to Pittman, it felt like there were so many of those where just a guy is unaccounted for, and that should never be the case. Yet all of Tyler Warren's receptions, all 4 of those, he's wide open. And I mean, coming in, you're talking about one of the most lethal pass catchers in the league. And I felt like you look at the red zone last week with Darren Waller, DJ said it right before the snap. He's like, look, when you're in this spot and you're in the red zone and Darren Waller's 3 for 3 in red zone catches, that's one guy. You got to make sure you know where 83 is. And where was 83? Wide open in the back of the end zone. So it just feels like something's not right out there. And I think the big issue is this is kind of the defense, right? This is what they got. Like Khalil Mack is back, Denzel Perriman's back, Dan Henley's out there, Derwin James is out there, all your corners, Tarheeb, Dante Jackson, Cam Hart, Ben St. Juste, who had a great breakup on that 3rd down play that forced the punt. Your safeties are out there. I know there's no Elijah Molden, but, Tony Jefferson's out there. You traded away Alohi Gilman, and your front was out there. I know it was only 12 snaps from Khalil, but, okay, you're going to get back to Sean Hand, and Khalil's going to get healthy. I mean, on offense, you got Joe Alt coming back. You got Trey Pipkins coming back. You've got Omarion Hampton coming back. Like, you've got dudes that are coming back. And I thought the offense, they did not run the ball well. That's for certain. 16 carries for 54 yards. But I thought Herbert had effective runs. But you're going to get Omarion Hampton back. And I think they're probably going to make a trade for a back. Backs are always available. You can get backs. So I would assume they're going to do that. So that's one of my main concerns. But that's the good news, right? The offense, after a miserable first half, came alive, man. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And then 9 minutes, 68 yards, and penalties or sacks end up getting you. I mean, you got just the interior of that line getting their break speed off right at the snap. And Justin Herbert, you don't have a chance, when that happens. And so I think that's the issue. Is just trying to get that interior line a little bit more stout. Because, the edges, look, were they great? They weren't great. But at the same time, like, you can work around that. You saw Herbert extend plays. When pressure came from one edge, he was able to roll out. You saw a couple of those different touchdown throws where he's on the move. He's flushed from the pocket, and he's making plays. When it just comes right up the gut, there's nothing he can do. And I think that's sort of the issue. And in the first half, it was just turnovers. They're moving the ball, and unfortunately, you're throwing an interception in the end zone and an interception when you're in field goal range. I mean, that's 6 points. And at that point, if you have those 6 points, if not more, now it changes the calculus in that second half. Instead of being down 14 all the time when you're only down 1 score, changes the way the Colts have to play. And they were never able to overcome that. Defense, though, explosives, man. A 48-yard pass on a 3rd and 17, that hurts. And I thought was not crazy about them overturning that 4th down. I did not think like there was conclusive video evidence, unless there's chips on the ball now, and I'm not aware of it. And that's how they figured that out. But Jonathan Taylor, you couldn't really tell where his knee was down and where that ball was. So whatever. It's 4-3. They're in second place. Incredible win by the Broncos. Unbelievable miss of an extra point by the Giants, but tied with the Chiefs, but they win the tiebreaker, and you better win this Thursday nighter. And then after that, you go to Tennessee, and maybe you get healthy, and now you're stringing wins together. But this has been a tough stretch. They've lost 3 of 4, and man, we're lucky that it's not 4 in a row, considering the miracle that it took to win that game in Miami. So I'm sure there's a lot they got to work on. I did not listen to Coach Harbaugh's post game. I was listening to something else in the car, so I missed that. Other positives, man, how about Oronde Gadsden? Boy, I'll tell you what, man, just let's trade everything for Joe Ortiz for 5th rounders. Let's trade all our picks for 5th rounders. You got Tarheeb still, Cam Hart in the 5th round. This year, you get Oronde Gadsden, who does something for the Chargers that has not been done since 2003. And what a great day for Oronde to have it on Antonio Gates Day when he's inducted into the Charger Hall of Fame. Not since Antonio Gates as a rookie gone for over 100 yards. And he went for 164 on 7 receptions. I mean, they were just explosives. And the dude was on one leg. because he got popped in the knee early in this game. And then he ends up piling up 164 yards along a 53. The 150, I saw it, I think Chris Rim had it in a tweet. And I think the 150 is the most by a tight end. 150 and a touchdown. I think it said something along the lines of it's only happened one other time in like the last 20 years or something like that. He's going to be great, man. That dude is good. And you combine that with Keenan getting 11 for 119. What a huge day for him. So you see the offense is working, man. Trey Harris is a stud. Had that fourth down catch. So, just got to fix this defense, man. There's missed tackles all over the place. There's blown assignments. And it's weird, right? Because this defense was so good last year. And it's a lot of the same guys. And it just doesn't quite line up. So I think that's probably kind of my observations. Let's see. Herbert, 420, 3 tugs, 31 on the ground. Talked about Gadsden. Allen, I thought McConkey had a couple really good catches, 9 for 67, tough yards. I mentioned the 2 that Trey had were fantastic. They needed a little bit more from the running game. Kamani, 9 carries for 20. Let's get to you, the people, and see. But I think the majority of this, I know a lot of people are going to talk about the O-line, and I know that that's been an issue, and kudos to Austin Deculus for fighting through that, man. Shannon Farron talked about it on the sideline. She was right down there, said they had to pull all the tape off and then retape it, put a brace on. So he's got a brace on his knee, a brace on his ankle. Here we go. Alan, what's up? Just saying hello. Hi, Matt. Hi, Johanna. You were there today, Alan. Right on. It looked beautiful. What a great job they did with the field. Got our butts kicked, says the Nacho Man. I think the defense got their butts kicked. I think the offense showed up in that second half, man. Touchdown. And then, unfortunately, you get behind the sticks on that 4th and long and just could not convert it. But those were their 4 second-half drives. You get 21 points in the second half. It's a pretty darn good response to only scoring 3 and turning the ball over twice. So, again, I think that's tip of the cap. And you say, way to go, Herbert. Put this team on your back. Way to go, Aronde Gadsden as a rookie 5th-round pick to raise your hand in a Tyler Warren game and be like, hey, I know people are going to say that you're the best tight end and you're going to maybe trump what Brock Bowers did last year. But I'm right here with a 164-yard game with a touchdown. So that's the positive. Team will get healthy, be all right. Alton Pip coming back, no doubt. Caleb, and maybe it's just going to be a team that's got to outscore you, unlike last year, where you only had to score 21 to win. Maybe it's going to be – and I thought this was going to be a 30-point game. I said that going in. I was like, are the Chargers going to win? Don't know. But they're going to have to score 30 points. If they don't score 30 points, they got no chance. Not with the way this offense is humming. Tough loss, but Gadsden showed promise. There you go. Jacko Bolts. I was the one who shook hands with you in the end zone. Good seeing you. Right on. It's great to see you, Pilar. Saw you, I think, when I was cruising through the end zone there, far side, if I remember. Or no, near side, I think. Yeah, it's good seeing you. Let's see. I mean, come on. Ash Hollick. Minter had an incredible season last year. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. Just got to figure out what's going on. You got missed tackles out there. Like, this is one of the worst tackling teams in the NFL, which doesn't make sense because they were one of the best tackling teams in the NFL. Like, Derwin James leads the NFL in missed tackles. How crazy is that? The guy had 6 missed tackles last year. He had 11 coming into this game. So, like, stuff that's just got to get figured out that's weird. And I'm sure they're going to work on it. There we go. What's going on with this defense? Exactly. Huge holes, wide open, huge all game. Agree, Mike. Hi, Parker. I already said hi to you once, or maybe that was earlier. T's and P's for the Bolts. It was all yellow. At least you're not the Raiders. Yeah, that was a rough one, huh? What did they run? Like 30 plays, I think I saw. That's a little nuts, right? I disagree, Coach Oak. I don't think Gadsden was the only Charger player that was good today. I thought Justin Herbert was great. The interceptions were rough, but you're talking about a guy that put up 21 points in the second half, and he cuts that 21 to 14, and you get an 80-yard kickoff return, and 2 plays, 14 yards, touchdown. Comes back out. All right, here's another touchdown, and here's another touchdown for the. I kept calling them the Chiefs today for the Colts. So I thought Herbert was great. Gadsden was great. Keenan was great, 11 for 119. I thought Ladd was great, 9 for 67. Quentin had the great touchdown grab. So I think that, overall, I thought there were a handful of dudes that were pretty good. And again, let me see what the grades are, or at least what the pressures allowed are. See, that's the problem with the early grades or the pressures that PFF does. I would just wholeheartedly disagree with what I'm looking at here and what the grades are. There's no chance what I'm looking at is what reality is. They got Bobby Hart for 4 pressures, Deculus for 5 and a sack, and I do remember the sack he gave up. Becton with 7 pressures, and Zion with 5 and 2 sacks, which I remember the one that was just crushing on that last drive. Because DeForest Buckner just got inside him. He was in Justin's lap on that. I think it was the second down that led to the 3rd and 17 or whatever. I got Bradley Bozeman for 1 pressure and a 1.6% pressure rate. So I think there were some better players. JT was destined to run on us, well, based on what we'd seen earlier, right? Oh, there you go, DZ Riders. DC Rides, you know what I'm doing. Yeah, I enjoy them too. Season is not over. They are still in the playoffs. Got to win these next few, though. I think they get healthy, figure some stuff out, and when Justin Herbert can put up 420 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game against a team that was allowing 19 points per game, and here's a quarterback that threw for 420 and 3, feel pretty good about it. Feel pretty good about at least that side of the ball. Rough one, tough one, rough one from one, tough one from another. Too many injuries. Yeah, on offense. Defense, like I said, they're kind of out there. Big Fan Money saw you in person at SoFi. Too shy to say hello. Oh, come on, dude. Servando. Next time, make sure you say hello. Greetings from Mexico. Love it down there. Hopefully I'll be headed down there very soon. That's my plan. Nailed. Traveled from Sacramento. We lost. Oh, such a bummer. Met a family earlier today when I was surfing. Ross. I met Ross. He and his wife Stacy flew down from Idaho. Born, raised in Idaho. Set up there. You got to pick your team. And he said he picked the Colts because of Marshall Faulk. And his wife picked the Chargers. So this one lined up perfectly for them to fly down. They're friends of Melissa's, from Melissa's, the food company, Melissa's. And she's awesome. And so anyway, great to see them. So Stacy, sad, Ross, happy. But tough one today. Great response, started too slow. Exactly, Charger did. At least the offense responded. Need the defense to get stops. Agree, David. Think about it. Happened last week against Miami. In a gotta-have-it moment, Darren Waller scores the touchdown. Offense bails him out. And in this one, every time the offense tried to get something going, defense or special teams, unfortunately, kind of got gashed a little bit. So, back to work, get it figured out, and make sure you're good by Thursday. Game planning in the second half, offensively, exactly right. Yeah, I agree, Xander. Defense looks completely different than they looked in those first few weeks where they weren't allowing. I mean, think about it. They gave up 24? No, 23. 23 points in the first half. It's a team through the first 4 weeks of the season didn't give up more than 7. 23 points in the first half, and it was easy. Got ourselves a tight end. You're darn right about that, Zilpod. Man, his Gadsden looked good. Might have been the unis, but they only play in them once. And now on Thursday, we got the Navies, which they have not won in since they flipped to the Powder Blues. So if you believe in uniform stuff, no bueno. Defense looked like they were playing with 10. Yeah, Coach, you're right about that. I mean, because when you put it like that, they're playing with 10. What does that mean? Well, somebody was open on every play. So you look like you're missing a guy. Why are all these people wide open? OG is good. Washed at the line, running back sliding past the second level. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you got guards pulling to the linebackers, blowing them out, and there's Jonathan Taylor for 23 yards because Dayon's getting washed out by Quentin Nelson, who just dusted a defensive lineman. Nacho cheese, unis. Yeah. Sunshine gold, nacho cheese. Interception that was tipped. Mekhi Becton missed a say. Yeah. Mekhi had a rough day. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Into a deep hole, couldn't get out of. Yeah, Nathan, I think a little bit of that. I think there was a little bit of that early, but it felt like the defense had no answers. Because, they were able to dig out of it, right? You come out and it takes a minute 58 seconds and you've got a touchdown and you cut it to 14. And if you can get a stop, and now all of a sudden maybe you build on that, which they did. They scored touchdowns on their first 3 possessions of the second half, but just couldn't get a stop to coincide with it. So even though they got into that hole, they would have totally been able to dig out, having scored 21 points in the second half and allowing 14. They just could not get the stops. Why couldn't they load the box? I think that's fair, Jonathan. We brought it up on that third down where they forced the 3 and out late, and unfortunately it took them 9 minutes to get no points on that drive. But we said, man, just start playing man. Just let's send everyone and play man, and that's exactly what they did. They blitzed, they rushed 6, they played man-to-man, and St. Juice was able to break up the pass. I thought they should have done a lot more of that. I felt like that was a much more effective. At some point, like when your zone is getting gashed, to the tune of 23 for 34, 288 and 2 touchdowns, and Jonathan Taylor's running all over you for 94 yards on 16 carries, 3 touchdowns. Maybe mix it up. Send some extra bodies. Let's play some man-to-man and see if that helps. I think Herbert was off in the first half a little bit, P. Daddy, but at the same time, I don't know necessarily if that's it's hard to argue anything but, right? He threw 2 interceptions. And he missed some throws, the one throw behind Keenan, sailed one in the back of the end zone. But at the same time, I just think the defense was so bad that there was just so much pressure on that offense to oh, wow, we got to dig this thing out. We're in a 21-3 hole. Thursday, you could say must win. They've lost 3 of 4. So, they got to figure this thing out sooner than later. No doubt. Look what a good O-line did. Yeah, good O-line and a good coach. Shane Steichen was in his, as the kids like to say, in his bag. He was on a heater. Everything he called, somebody was open. So, and Daniel Jones is now, I said it during the broadcast, he's got to be plus 2,500 for comeback player of the year. There's no one else that's even remotely close. The Colts are 6-1. They're going to the playoffs. They're going to the playoffs with Daniel Jones as their quarterback. So he's got that thing locked up. Jonathan Taylor with he's got 10 rushing touchdowns already. He's running, pardon the pun, running away with Offensive Player of the Year. Shane Steichen, 6-1 with Daniel Jones as his quarterback. Think about Kevin O'Connell last year with Sam Darnold, Shane Steichen, Coach of the Year. And Tyler Warren, another 4 for 69 and a touchdown, Rookie of the Year, because Cam Ward's playing not so great. Played a lad in the end zone. Herbert can't seem to throw a ball that drops. Well, listen, J-Pez, I would say that's a really, really hard throw. Because, he's flush from the pocket, so he's escaping the pocket, trying to keep his eyes downfield, not get sacked. Identifies Ladd late because he looked like he was taking off to run, and he was going to try to run for that, so he sees Ladd late. But then you've got Franklin right there, and the distance, so here's the distance, if I can do this on the screen. Here's the distance between Herbert and Franklin, and here's the distance between Franklin and Ladd. So he's got to figure out a way to drop that pass over his head without getting it tipped and maybe picked off in the end zone and into Land's hands when he's all the way back here, and Franklin's here. That is a pretty hard bit of geometry to figure out how to win, because it was right between them. It's not like he could wait for Ladd to flash open because he's got a guy around his ankles. So I think a lot of times when people are like, oh, how'd you sail it? Well, that's an incredibly challenging throw. One was his fault. Yeah, he forced the ball to Q. Q never had a chance to catch that ball. Flew in from PDX, the beautiful carpet of PDX. Not the result, but had a blast. Love to hear that, man. Late drive in the fourth that essentially ended the game. Felt like they were moving in slow motion. I know, man. They weren't even in the red zone, and it took 9 minutes off the clock. It was like the Raider game. Remember when the Raiders were down? And they took 9 minutes to turn the ball over on downs, and we were kind of chuckling. Oh, there we go. Came back. Indy, the real underdog. Hope they continue their success. Yeah, you think a lot of stuff has happened, right? Jim Irsay passed away. Daniel Jones written off. And, obviously someone that worked with Shane and was around Shane, one of my absolute favorite people. So very happy for him. Not happy for him today, but happy for him. The one that was tipped and one was totally his fault. I mean, yeah, dude, Nathan, if you wanted to play that game, sure. Yeah, one was tipped at the line of scrimmage because Stewart was in his lap immediately. And the other one was a bad throw. The guy threw for 420 and 3 touchdowns. So I'm going to say it balances out. 420 and 3 touchdowns. If the defense can get a stop in the second half, instead of allowing back-to-back touchdowns between special teams and defense after Herbert got those 2 touchdowns and tried to get them back in the game. And you're just like, geez, I'm digging out of a 21-point hole again. So I think, again, as coach would say, fingerprints are all over. Everybody's got fingerprints on it. The slow start in the first half. But again, it's a defense that allowed 23 points in the first half. A 46-point performance if the halves are equal. So tough watch. Game went sour. Called the Colts fourth down. I agree with that, man. That was a rough go. The fourth down that looked short back and gave him a first, man. That was a rough deal because the players were celebrating. They're on the sideline already. Henley, I'm hoping he gets right because I'm wondering if it's that sickness that got to him. Overturned fourth down, first quarter. Yeah, there you go. It's another one. It was huge. Not used to us giving up so many chunk plays. Agree. They kept a lid on everything last year. It was hard for teams to score. If they scored, it took them a long time. A lot of times they made mistakes. Now they're getting explosives all over the field, converting 3rd and 17s and 4th and 4s. Why is this defense so different from the first 3 weeks? That's a great question, Jonathan. I don't know because it's a lot of the same players, and it looks so different. Deion Derwin, yeah, normally, the first few weeks, those guys were all pros. Shades of the Week 17 game against the Raiders, all the fourth down conversions. Yeah, I was with you, man. Willie, I thought this was going to be one of those special ones when Herbert started cooking in the second half. Could be communication on defense, which is what Aloy was in charge of back there. And now he's been gone for 2 games, and you look at kind of the way these last 2 games have looked. What else we got? Making the playoffs. I disagree with that. It's still way early. I would disagree. I don't know about that, Adrian. Not missing or gaining anything from Aloy's departure. I think Aloy was always kind of cited as one of the smartest, if not the smartest guy on the team. And he was the guy that got everyone in the right spot and everything settled. And so I think maybe you do miss that. And I think last week you got a huge gift, not a huge gift, but a huge bump from Owe, who had pressures, had the huge sack on Tua, had another pressure that led to one of the interceptions. So I think, let's not overreact. 3rd and 17 and not getting upfield is really tough. Not to mention it was a 48-yard bomb to a wide open Pierce. Defense trading for an RB is a net negative. That may be the case, Nate, but Alt's coming back and Pip's coming back, and that's going to help. And look, explosive running backs can help out. You saw how Hampton started to run the ball, and he's one of the best running backs in the league for that little 2-week window before he got hurt. Yes, we can win the next 3 or 4, I think. Minnesota, Tennessee, Steelers, Jacksonville. You saw what the Rams just did to Jacksonville over there. So, Jacksonville has put up some stinkers as well. You saw what the Jets did against the Steelers, so those are definitely winnable. Concerned until Hampton comes back. Shane went for it on 3rd down. Colts offense is really good. Man, what? Oh, there we go. They look completely different. Yeah, we talked about that. Special teams return units they're all flying in now. Try to keep a track on this. Special teams, yes, they do need to get healthier. That was a brutal return. You just score a touchdown. Why do we have false start penalties? Just guys commits false starts. Think about all the different bodies that are on that offensive line. So good at converting 3rd and long. Silly penalty to get it called back. Yeah, right. That's been multiple games. Joe Alt to left guard. God, no. Joe Alt's in the conversation is the best tackle in the league. And that's going to help the guard play. Steelers and Jags got that. Should have got a face mask on that Nyheim Hines return, and that would have put him at midfield. So that was BS. What else we got? Kennard wasn't active, Allen. That's why he didn't show up, because he was inactive. Gadsden, a weapon, agree. It's going to be great moving forward. Horrible missed calls, agree with that. How was it the side with more injuries played better? Matchups, DeForest Buckner did feel like he was in the backfield a lot. What do we got? Deep pass in the first half. Terrible cover. Well, yeah, it was a busted coverage. He was wide open. I think it was Tarheeb that passed him off to nobody. At least the offense found things that work. Yeah, agree. That Disley drop was a big one. Think Minter makes any scheme type changes? I think so. I think so, Johnny. I think you'll see more pressure. If they can't get pressure with 4, they've got to start blitzing. And I think they'll have to start playing some more man. Gadsden, elite pass catcher. Look, he's getting all the snaps. I did not see Tyler Conklin out there for a single snap. I'm looking at the snap counts. No, he was not out there for a single snap. Trey Harris was phenomenal. Those 2 grabs were great. Miss Puna Ford, I agree with that. Defense, a bigger issue than the OL today. Yes, it was. Where KLS was inactive as well. Sup, Nathan? It was a lot of yellow. Right about that. Do more with his legs. Well, Herbert did rush 6 times. He took off 6 times for 31 yards with a long of 11. Yeah, special teams coverage units have been a little bit rough this year. Vibes. I think the vibes are still there with Coach Harbaugh. They were certainly there through the first 3 weeks. So I think just, clean up some mistakes, get it squared away, and they'll be fine. And they got a chance to do that because you're home on Thursday night against a Minnesota team that just played a very physical Philadelphia Eagles team. What else we got? Hi, Cloud. Issue was no pressure. Yeah, I agree. They needed to heat up Daniel Jones, but it's a guy that came into this game with 5 sacks and one of the best pass blocking O-lines in the league. So nobody's been doing that. And it held up again. Describing the game you do was listening to it in the car. I felt like I was watching. That's very kind. Thank you, Sal. I really appreciate that. Burn those uniforms. Kickoff return after TD did not help. No, it did not. That was special teams. That's like you're better off just booting it in the end zone, right? Put him at the 35. Trey Harris is looking better and better. KLS was inactive. Colts legit, agree. It was 2 years ago with Minshew when they played. They were 8-9 last year, or was it last year with Minshew? I thought Minshew was with the Colts 2 years ago, right? I thought that was the case. Herbert. Couple bad throws, incredible how he can carry an offense. Yeah, I mean, look, he made up for it in the second half. Special teams, okay. They got to figure out their coverage unit. No pass rush. Makes me feel a little better. Eat a mummy. Appreciate that. SoFi was full. Charger fans show up. I agree. It was packed with Charger fans, and unfortunately, they didn't leave happy. Colts cocky forward on 4th down. Look, I think you can call it cocky. I think you can call it just... I don't think it's cocky or arrogance. I think it's just confidence, right? It's like, these guys can't stop us, and if they do, then we'll adjust. It's kind of like, hey, we can't stop them. Let's adjust. Sort of, 2 sides of the same coin, right? Never been to a Chargers game. Going with my girlfriend versus the Texans. How can we say hi to you? Sal, if you're able to get down close to the field, I usually walk the field. I do a lap about an hour before the game and hang out there for about a half hour. Gadsden looked amazing, playing center. Herb is incredible. Issues with tip passes his whole career. Called DPI and the misled TD. We'd be having a different conversation right now. Yeah, he got an armful on that pull because he had Franklin and they just saw him poke it away. And that's, what a vet does. He was able to get that left arm on Ladd's left arm and pull it down, so he only had one hand available to catch that thing. Let's see, going on with our defense. Felt like we talked about that for a while. Mekhi Becton gave up quick pressures, no doubt. I think both sides did. You had Zion, Becton, Bozeman. That entire interior was giving up way too many quick pressures. Let's see what else we got. Next game, keep a winning record. I do think we get guys at the deadline. I would guess. Again, if you're going to get an O-lineman, it's going to be backup level. Must win. No, Molden, I think, hurt a little bit. Agree. Thank you. Throw to McConkey in the end zone. Colts, Franklin, gosh darn it. Never turned around to track the ball. Was slapping at Ad's arm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they never discussed the PI. That's what we said. We said that it was a really great play on the ball to slap it away, but if you look, he's got that left arm pulling on Lads, but that's all shielded, so I don't know if the official could see that. Greetings from Artesia. Border Patrol Academy. Hello to you, sir. Let's see, where am I? Okay, there's that. Hi from Todos Santos, Baja Cali. Great spots, I know. Listen, Parks and Mex. I need to get down there. Desperately need to get down there, and I am planning on it. Let's see, short week. Good for teams moving on to the next game. Exactly right. Win Thursday, mini bye, get everybody healthy, and start making that run against the Steelers, Jags, and when things start picking up. And then you get another bye. That's going to help. No call on the face mask. I agree. That was brutal. Darn near ripped his head off. Dupree off the field. No, I think Dupree sets the edge pretty well. But I don't think his snap totals were that high. Where is Bud? 38. Yeah, so he's playing 38. Tule's playing 49. Owe had 29. Khalil had 12. So if you figure, Owe and Khalil combine, they're at the same number. They're at 3 more than Bud. What do we got? Tart getting hurt. He's fine. Did we get out schemed? I just think you got outplayed. Offense versus defense. Colts offense versus defense was them getting outplayed. All right, I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom and then just get a few more of these in and get out of here. Wow. So if you don't mind, try not adding any more comments so I could just kind of get out of here and see if I can get as many of these in as possible. But if you keep commenting, it's going to be kind of tough because then it's going to keep resetting it and I get stuck. Great to meet you in person, Tom. Great to see you as well. Appreciate that. Last push. Oh, yeah, it's kind of hard to go backwards because you guys are interacting with each other. Play calling. Money, I think you're the best. You and Petros never know. Oh, dude, come on, Sean. Stop. You're crushing me here with all the comments. Tucker, I do think Tucker Fisks, should get some more snaps. I like the way he blocks. And as a move guy, I feel like he moves and gets to his defender a little bit better. What else we got? Copy, thank you. Number, okay, so I'm going the wrong way. All right, I think that's probably going to do it. Let's get one more sip in here. All right, well, that was a breeze. And I'll see you all on Thursday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Bummer of a loss. They've lost 3 of 4. Got to turn this thing around. And I suspect they're going to on Thursday. Feel pretty good about the offense. And I think there's a real good chance that Joe Alt's going to be back on Thursday. And I think there's a chance that Trey Pipkin's going to be back on Thursday after missing 2. I feel like it lines up well there. So if that's the case, I think this is a team that could put up some points on a Minnesota team that's really hurt on the offensive line and has Carson Wentz quarterbacking him and has also struggled. Let me see if I can get his box score here. Carson Wentz today, 2 interceptions. Jordan Mason, 57 yards on 15 carries. What do we have? We had a fumble. No lost fumbles, but they put it on the ground twice. So let's see if we can get that win, man. Appreciate y'all. That's going to do it. And we'll do the pods this week, believe on Wednesday. Probably, that'll be interesting. Figure out how we want to do that with the game on Thursday. So maybe they'll come a little bit later in the week so we can react to that game instead of previewing it, or maybe we'll do both or something. But appreciate y'all. Bolt up, stay strong. Don't freak out. They're still 4-3. And I'm going to go grab some dinner. So appreciate y'all. Have a good night.